The Pink Floyd, the awesome band from Britain. I'm not certain which part of Britain exactly, but they are from Britain. Alright, screw you, don't question it. They burst into the scene in 1965 with LSD enthusiast, Syd Barrett as their frontman, lead vocalist, and guitarist. Roger Waters on bass, Richard Wright on keys, and Nick Mason on drums. They made their debut record in 1967, and since then they've lost members, gained new ones, made sale-crashing records, broken up and gotten back together like a divorced couple, and more. So now I'm gonna rank all their albums and stuff man. Right before we begin, I'll mention that their first 1969 record, More, won't be a part of this tier list because, well, it's a soundtrack album used in a movie. Although I like some of the tracks, I still will not include it, and instead focus on all their other LPs. You know, those good-ass Roger Waters concept albums where he talks about how we live in a society and how war is bad, and because of war his daddy is gone or something. I'll shut the fuck up now, let's get to it. Starting the tier list off with their 1977 record, Animals. This is an iconic album, kind of the beginning of Roger Waters incorporating his little war equals bad ideologies into these albums. The album has a clear influence on it brought on by George Orwell's novel Animal Farm from 1945, in which the literary classic talks about the state of society in the form of animals. Both the novel and the album are commentaries on how world leaders can take on the guises of ordinary men, and at the same time manipulate those same men and take advantage of the population. The album is, of course, also a clear showing of Roger Waters' disgust at a certain Margaret Thatcher.
It's a shame the bitch didn't die 87 years ago!
But yeah, all in all, these tracks are well constructed, the messages and lyrics are all wonderful, a beautiful creation led by Roger Waters. My favorite track is, by all means, Pigs, the first part of it that is. Animals, released in 1977, is going in at great. Next up we have Atom Heart Mother, aka Funny Cow album, released in 1970. This was a big step up and part of their launch into mainstream success and favor from elitist fans who hated their previous records. The album is almost entirely a huge meme in the fan base, mostly due to one, as I said, the cow, and two, because of a certain track.
Coffee. Marmalade, I like marmalade. Marmalade, I like marmalade.
Atom Heart Mother is a nice album. However, in many ways, in my opinion, not exceeding of its predecessors, which is what popular opinion kind of demands. I think it's not. My favorite track would be Fat Old Son. I also like If, Summer 68, but that's about all. Not much to this album. Overall, it is nice, and I'm putting it at a comfortable not bad ranking. The Dark Side of the Moon, the infamous 1973 record. Not much needs to be said about this album. The beautiful arrangement and production, the amount of just sheer lovely tracks on this album, and those wonderful transitions from song to song are mesmerizing. My favorite tracks are probably Us and Them and Any Color You Like. The transition between those two just makes me want to bust a fat joint. The Dark Side of the Moon is, in many ways, a mesmerizing album, and I'm putting it in at great. The next album is the one with Roger's face on it. Twice. The Division Bell, released in 1994, was a necessary comeback that the Floyd put out to satisfy fans that were, frankly, not the happiest with their previous record that didn't have Roger Waters, a momentary lapse of reason. The Division Bell also didn't have him, but it was still a valiant group effort resulting in some lively tunes. One particularly named Lost for Words has David Gilmour famously talking about Roger. This line is frankly quite memed by the fan base. But yeah, overall I like the Division Bell. It is not as good as many other records they put out, but still just a good record, you know? The Division Bell is coming in at good. Next up we have The Endless River, their final studio album released in 2014. Every day I like to think that this isn't just a cash grab and is a proper farewell and tribute to the band's keyboardist, Wright, who had died of cancer 6 years prior to the release of the album, but oh well. Ignoring all that, the album is quite nice. The tracks have really nice ambience and texture, lots of synth and keyboard stuff which I enjoyed, but not an album I would exactly go back and listen to more than a few times, you know what I mean? And trust me, it's not because of a cash grab, it just doesn't really catch my attention as much as the others. Therefore, The Endless River is coming in at not bad. Next up is their first 80s record, The Final Cut, released in 1983. This is an album notoriously known as, well, pretty much a Roger Waters solo record. It was during this period the band had frequent fights, and Richard Wright wasn't even a part of it anymore. The Final Cut is in many ways a sequel to The Wall, and the tracks are again heavily influenced by, war equals bad. They are very enjoyable, and while tracks like The Gunner's Dream and When the Tigers Broke Free are quite sad, others like Not Now John are quite groovy and also feature a lot of F-bombs. The Final Cut is a nice album that I enjoy listening to every now and then, and I'd say is on par with The Division Bell, so it's coming in at good. Next up we have A Momentary Lapse of Reason, released in 1987. By this time Roger Waters had left the band and Richard Wright had come back, so we were down to David Gilmour, Richard Wright, and Nick Mason. The album is hated by fans for being, quote, boring and unlike Pink Floyd. I happen to disagree. While I don't like the record all that much, it is still decent and very Pink Floyd, as much as the fans may disagree. However, I find it to be on par with The Endless River and the Cow album, therefore I'm putting it in at not bad. Obscured by Clouds, released in 1972. I like this record just as much as I like the previous one I mentioned. It's nothing exciting and serves as a little detour in my eyes. From the masterpiece that is Metal to the masterpiece that is The Dark Side of the Moon. Obscured by Clouds doesn't have much to it, a certain meme track here, but, nothing much more. It's coming in without a thought at not bad. And now we have the legendary Metal, released in 1971. Whoops, did I say legendary? I just spoiled this one. Metal is an absolute masterpiece, with beautiful, complex, and underrated tracks that not many people even inside the fanbase bat an eye to. Tracks like Santropes, One of These Days, A Pillow of Winds, and the ever-so-memed Seamus.
Kitchen, Seamus, that's the dog who's outside.
The record also features, in my opinion, one of the greatest rock masterpieces ever created, Echoes. A beautiful and mystical 20-minute journey that can get you so high without even the need for any psychedelics. Metal is a beautiful album, and it's coming in easily at legendary. Next up is their debut record, The Piper at the Gates of Dawn, released in 1967 with Syd Barrett. This was a strange album, yet still a spectacle of psychedelic rock. A beautiful showing of the unique creativity of Syd Barrett through, well, nursery rhymes infused with drugs. The album also features the track Interstellar Overdrive, which has a really heavy and groovy guitar riff that I love. Overall, I find the record to be fascinating and wonderful. Therefore, it is coming in at great. Next up is their next record itself, A Saucerful of Secrets, released in 1968. This was David Gilmour's first album with Syd Barrett. And, well, Syd Barrett's last itself, with the band. It's also a nice showing of psychedelia infused with rock, yet not as good as the previous record. The album also features our last time seeing Syd Barrett on camera. Jug Band Blues is a creepy and dark song written by Syd, showing his self-awareness, talking about the band kicking him out of the band itself, and him quite frankly understanding, and the final lines are quite evident of his descent into madness. A Saucerful of Secrets is, overall, another nice album. Not as nice as Piper, but still nice. And it's coming in at nice. I mean, good. Next up is the infamous The Wall, released in 1979. This album is another masterpiece that elitist fans will tell you is overrated, but I disagree. Especially after seeing the movie. The Wall is beautiful, a diverse journey through the mind of a man that is desperate. It also features quite a number of memes, and as I said earlier, a really diverse list of songs that go from dark and depressing to groovy and sex and drug driven, and arguably the two most famous songs on Pink Floyd's entire catalog, Another Brick in the Wall Part 2 and Comfortably Numb. Also, the amount of sheer fucking guitar solos David bursts out in this record is, well, astonishing. The Wall is a masterpiece, and with the movie and its history, can only go up at legendary. Next up is the very hated Umma Gumma, released in 1969. This was pretty much their first record without Syd and is viewed by fans as a cry of help for him, as they are lost and don't know what to do. The first half of the songs is live renditions of previous numbers, then there's the official new tracks. My favorites happen to be Grantchester Meadows, and the new live version of Careful with That Axe Eugene. You know, the little... I love the track so damn much. Such a beautiful track. The fucking scream that Roger bursts out. And the section after that is very groovy as well. I love Ummagumma. It's quite good and shouldn't be hated as much as it is. So it is coming in at good. And finally, to call it a day, we have Wish You Were Here, released in 1975. And by golly, are we ending on a good note. This album is simply beautiful and sad. It's the Floyd's cry to Sid about how much they miss him. It's also the start of Roger Waters' descent into the madness of concept albums. Wish You Were Here is another diverse piece of sound, jumping from the sad and lonely Shine On You Crazy Diamond, to the groovy and memed Have a Cigar, then to the acoustic wonderland of Wish You Were Here itself. And after a few twists and turns, we're back to Shine On You Crazy Diamond. The album is lovely and is coming in at great. And that was it for the Pink Floyd tier list. Keep in mind that I don't own any of these tracks. Mr. Rago, please don't fucking copyright strike me, okay? I have a family to feed. Please, man, I need this. Anyway. Hope you guys enjoyed. If you did, then like the goddamn fucking video. Jesus Christ, I'm not gonna ask you nicely, okay? I work hard on this piece of shit, so you better appreciate it. Yeah, other than that, see you guys on the next video.